Im vergangenen Oktober warst du unter anderem im Saarland und konntest vor Ort sehen und erleben, welche Ziele sich das Saarland hinsichtlich der grünen Stahlproduktion gestellt hat. Wie bewertest du dieses Vorhaben und was waren deine ersten Gedanken zu diesem Thema?
We had a group of 6 people who represented the Midwest of the United States and where I'm from, Appalachia. These are areas that built the United States. Every railroad tie, every skyscraper, every automobile, everything. We built it. And our travels together, and it was the first time we had ever met, the 6 of us, um, without question, the greatest impact that was left on us was our visit to Saarland. We represent areas that are it was very familiar to us. It felt the same, it looked the same, and it had this feeling of pride, but a concern about the future. And that's exactly where I live and where the others lived. So the takeaway from us over the time of being all throughout Germany, Belgium, and France was Saarland. But the most inspirational part of it was when, and without question for all of us, was when we actually got to meet the workers of Saarstahl. And what the workers said to us was completely different than what the workers in the United States have said to us. In the United States, there's a trepidation, a fear of what the future means and whether or not they will have a part of it. And people like Donald Trump play off of that. They say that we'll go back to the way things were. We'll go back and do, and then they deliver nothing. They deliver nothing. But people cling to that because they feel they're a part of it. And without that, they feel that they're being ignored or left behind in the future. I supported Hillary Clinton in 2016, and I worked very hard for her. But the worst thing that she said was to the workers of my region, we're going to teach you how to code. It was an insult. She didn't realize it, but it meant that the work that they did and their families did in the towns that they lived in were not going to be able to be a part of the future. And instead of understanding that the message should have been, we're going to work with you to modernize and to be leaders once again, and we are going to count on you and your families and your communities to be at the forefront of rebuilding our country. She basically said, this industry's gone. And so when we were in Saarland, we heard a very different message. And it didn't come from elected officials. It didn't come from corporate leaders. It came from workers. And the workers were saying, no, we're going to create the model. We're going to show to Germany and then to the world how steel can be produced in a way where our clients are asking us to go. I'm sure that Germany is having the same conversations that the US is having, that it's happening all throughout the world on the demise of capitalism. And we should look at it. I mean, there has been more examples over the past 20 or 30 years of how capitalism can be negative. But instead of scrapping the capitalistic system, what would happen if we use capitalism for good? What would happen if Mercedes-Benz and Audi and BMW said, we're going to only use steel that was green steel? What would happen is Saarland. And that needs to happen all over this planet. There was only one real time when I was in strong opposition with the Obama administration. And it was on the Trans-Pacific plan that he had that would have allowed multinational corporations to set parameters of trade that would ignore either local or state laws. And I was joined by a combination of the Sierra Club because of the environmental effects that that would have, having corporations basically dictating what the environmental impacts would be, and the United Steelworkers that are located in Pittsburgh, the International Union, that realized that both in Asia and the United States, that workers' rights would be taken away from them. And I stood with about 3 other mayors who said, no, everything that we've been trying to do, everything that we have done in order to make progress would be taken away through this. And fortunately, it didn't pass. But that's the same spirit I saw in Saarland, the Sierra Club and the steelworkers coming together and saying, we want good jobs and green jobs. And it doesn't have to be at odds. It can be working together on a common agenda. And that's where my region needs to go. That's where my country needs to go. And that's where the world needs to go. And I saw it, and we saw it in Saarland. And it gave us energy and hope that there can be a way to use capitalism for good.
Welche Ratschläge möchtest du den Verantwortlichen geben, die vor ähnlichen Herausforderungen stehen, wie du sie in deinem Amt hattest?
So I am told by my friend John Barrett, who I grew up with since the age of 1, that I told him in high school that I wanted to be the mayor. I don't remember that, but I wouldn't argue it, and I can say that that position that I had will be the greatest job that I ever have in my life. My advice would be simply lead with your head, but be guided by your heart. I am the proud grandson of immigrants. My grandfather came to this country with a 2nd grade education from Italy. My grandmother never went to school. And I think that had they been around, they would be amazed that their grandson could become the mayor of the city that they came to. I have a very, very strong belief that good government is good politics, that people have a value within them that they can read the BS. I don't know how that translates in German, but that when a politician is not honest or is in it for themselves, that people know it. And sometimes they may vote for that politician because they may be in it too, or they may think that this will value them. But despite political party, look for the people who are actually trying to do what's best for the area that they represent. And to the leaders, don't be afraid to give the bad news instead of just listening to your communication director saying, here's all the good news that we're going to put out there. Be a part of the community. Be a part of those that are telling you that, oh, this is bad, and then admit that this is bad and find a solution to move forward. And probably the best advice comes from a guy who walked around China 2,000 years before Christ, Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu said that when the work of the best leader is done, the people say we did it ourselves. Empower people. They have ideas. They have resources. Be able to be a partner with their ideas in order to be able to get things done. And what you will find out is, just like Lao Tzu said, that not only will people say that they were able to have success through their efforts, but that will translate back to the support of you.
Thank you very much for this good interview. Thank you.
My
Thank you very
pleasure.
much.